Hey, what's up? It's Josh from the Dialed In Hunter. I recently did a video on bow hunting for Coues deer during the rut here in Arizona. If you haven't checked that out, in light of that video though, and in light of the coming January archery deer season, I'm going to walk you through exactly how I e-scout a brand new area for the January archery deer season in Arizona. What I look out for, what I don't, the tools I use to kind of suss out exactly where I'm going to hunt before I step foot out my door. I'm a busy guy just like most of you, so I don't have the time to scout as much as I'd like. So e-scouting is where it's at for me. All right, before we get going here, just gonna give you a little bit of a rundown of how the archery deer season here works in Arizona, because there were some changes that happened recently. Okay, so this is an over-the-counter tag. Your tag is not species specific. You can use your tag for a mule deer or a Coues deer. Obviously, we're gonna talk about Coues deer today. However, even being over the counter, there is a cap on how many bucks can be killed in every unit. Okay, so each unit has a mule deer quota, a mule deer buck quota, and a Coues deer buck quota. All right, once that quota is met, that unit will shut down for that species the following Wednesday at sundown. Okay, if you're familiar with our black bear seasons here, it's pretty much almost the same as that. So, which this leads me to the first thing that we need to do, okay, is we need to find where we're going to even go for Coues deer. Like what unit? How do you go about picking out a unit for Coues deer? So on the surface, Coues deer mostly inhabit southeastern Arizona, okay, but they do stretch up into the northern parts of Arizona, up into the rim, into the White Mountains. You can find them in that area as well. So in light of the recent changes and having to keep track of these buck quotas, you can go on the harvest tracking information on the Game and Fish site and look at the quota numbers for each unit. I think this is a great place to start. If you have no idea where to go at all, because if a unit has a big buck quota, a large buck quota, it's probably got a few Coues deer in it, right? Another thing you can do though, aside from looking at the buck quotas, is onX has a layer for Arizona. So if you jump in right up here to your layers, go to Arizona, there's a layer called AZ Game Distribution. All right, so we're going to click on details, and there's a list of species right here. Okay, so we're going to go down to white-tailed deer, and we're going to turn that on. So now you see the map looks a little bit different. Okay, so let's get out of that. All of these gray areas that are outlined in red are areas where Coues deer hang out. Okay, like Coues deer habitat. Okay, so that's another great way to kind of suss out, oh, what unit do I want to go to? I mean, pick a unit within these areas and you're going to be in Coues deer. Any of those areas in there are going to offer good Coues deer hunting. Okay, so after looking at the map, me personally, I am going to pick out unit 34A. Okay, so I've never been to this unit ever. I'm gonna walk you through exactly what I do and what I look for in a brand new unit when I'm trying to plan an archery Coues deer hunt during the rut. So there's a couple things that I like to keep in mind for me personally when I'm trying to plan one of these hunts, like things to look out for in the unit. And the first thing is elevation. All right, Coues deer have a wide range of elevation that they can live at. They can live anywhere from 2,500 feet all the way up to 10,000 feet. Country at 2,500 feet and country at 10,000 feet, though, are very different, okay? So where I like to put myself, where I found the best success with visibility, like finding Coues deer, and country that is bow huntable, is somewhere in between like 4,000 feet and 6,500 feet. I know that's a big range, but the reason for that is you're off of the desert floor, so you're going to have topography, all right, which is going to make it easier to glass, but you're beneath the pines, so you have visibility, Okay, so if you're up in the pines, your visibility is going to be severely limited. You could absolutely kill a Coues deer up there with your bow sitting in a tree stand. That is a very good tactic for bow hunting Coues deer. But for this, I'm going to focus on spot and stalk because that's what I mostly do. So along with the elevation, okay, that I want to be at between 4,000 and 6,500 feet, right in there. I also want to make sure that the country is huntable. And what I mean by that, like when you're in these zones, there's definitely topography. There's ridges and little basins and draws and stuff, which is great. That's what you need for bow hunting. But you also need the ability to move through that country without being noticed. Okay, and what I mean by that is some of this country is real thick. Okay, so country that is totally choked in manzanita or some other thick type of brush, not the best situation for sneaking up on a Coues deer. Okay, that's going to be real loud and you're going to pull your hair out trying to do that. All right, so what I want broken country. Okay, stuff with like enough open areas where deer can come out in the open, you know, and feed. But there's patches of vegetation, shrubs, trees, whatever it is. Like it's not all one thing; it's broken, which means that you or I are going to be able to use these things along with the topography of the area to close the distance on animals. All right, so that's something that is really important to me when I'm planning a spot and stalk archery hunt for Coues deer. Another thing that I'm looking for that's real important to me is water and getting away from people. Okay, water, we're in the desert. All right, like water is a thing. It's very important. Animals are going to congregate around it, especially on drought years. Okay, so there has to be good water sources around. And it doesn't have to be some flowing creek or river or anything like that. It could be a stock tank. Okay, just something for the animals to go to get a drink. Bucks during the rut, they're running all over the place. They're gonna stop in for a drink. So then getting away from people, like all of us want to have a quality hunt, right? And try not to step on each other's toes. So what I look for, as well as the water and the elevation that I want, is areas where I feel like I can get away from folks. That doesn't have to be a wilderness area, although I love wilderness areas. It could be just a big tract of public land with no roads going through it. And that's it. I've backpacked into areas like that are not wilderness areas where I'm just parking off the side of the road and hiking in cross country a little bit, and you will be alone. Okay, when there's a trail, chances are your chances of running into somebody increase dramatically. Okay, so water, huntable country, elevation, and country where I feel like I'm going to be able to get away from people. So we're going to zoom into 34A now on the map, and I'm going to walk through that process and we're going to see what we come up with. All right, guys, so we're looking at 34A. I can already see there's a wilderness area here. I have my wilderness area layer on. So let's check that out right off the bat. Check out the elevation. I've got the hybrid mode turned on so I can see the elevation. So this looks pretty dang high. So this peak is 9,360 feet. Not exactly what I'm looking for. So let's follow the mountain down. We're getting into 76, 68. We're outside of the wilderness area now. There we go. Now we're getting into some stuff here. So 5,800 feet, 5,200 feet. So this is kind of the zone here. This is a zone here that might be of interest to me. I'm going to go ahead and mark this off real quick. So we're going to go to draw a shape. All right. Just going to go bump, 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 bump. Kind of keep that notated there. Let's keep looking around. So that looks like it's away from people. I'm not seeing a ton of water though. So these guys, for those that don't know, these dotted blue lines, this means that the water is not perennial. Okay, so on good moisture years, there very well could be water running through these areas, but it's not something you could bank on. So let's zoom out a little bit. Let's keep looking around here. Let's see, there's some better water right here. So if you zoom out, I have my water layer on. All right, these right here, these little blue dots here, those are all springs. Okay, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's a tank right here. There's a trailhead right here. Here's another spring right here. So let's check out the elevation. Look at that, 5,200 feet. So this is another reason I have the hybrid mode on, so I can see the land. So if you zoom in, like this is broken. Okay, this is what you're looking for. See, you got like open area here. Then there's dense timber right here. Open areas in here. Open areas here. Those are the things that I'm looking for when I'm looking for Coues country, stuff where I can see into. So we're definitely going to mark this. This looks great right here. There's ridge lines in here for you to work. Really like that. So let's draw a shape around that. We're going to start right at this trailhead here. Bring it over here. Down. Cross. There we go. Save that. That looks like a great area in there. And then the highway is right here. So the next thing I'm looking for, is for access points. All right, into areas. This one right here, it doesn't have. It's got some decent access to the west. There's a road right here. So what we're going to do, we're going to go and turn on our roads and trails, motorized roads and trails layer. And now these are purple. Okay, so when I see a solid line like that, generally to me it means that the road isn't in awful condition. But if you're curious what you're looking at, you can click on it. And it says overland, high clearance, side-by-side, ATV, dirt bike. It's open throughout the entire year. It's 26 miles long. So just good to know. And another thing that you can do is you can zoom in on it. And this road looks great. You can kind of see the condition of the road. If you can see the road really well from satellite, generally that means that it's not in that bad a condition. So this has some good access. This spot up here has some good access. But what I don't like about this area here is there just is not that much water. Okay. All right. So we're going to focus on this area right here. This looks the best to me in terms of it's got water. It's fairly away from roads. It's got the huntable country that I'm talking about. It's the right elevation. This spot right here just says Coues deer to me. So we need to find out how we can get into this spot now. All right, so the main highway is right here. So it looks like there's several decent roads, like this one right here. Yeah, this one right here looks like we can get right up this, go past the private end here, and then we can hike into this country right from there. So that's a good access point right there. Let's mark that. Zoom in. I'm going to mark an access point. Move this right here. Access. Save. Now I'm going to follow this. Another thing I do is I'll follow the road down. Now I'm going to mark another waypoint at the end of the road. Right here. And I'm going to mark that parking. So that's a cool little setup there. You can hike in this way to get into the country that we're talking about. See if there's any other access around here. This one might be the ticket right here. Yeah, I like this one. Check this out. So let's mark this one right near the ranger station. Mark an access point. Put that right here. Access, save, zoom out. This is going to take us just south of where we want to hunt. And if you zoom in, the road's in great condition. So I'm going to put, let me see, zoom in again. Man, this road's in really good condition. Looks like I should be able to park right in here probably. So we're going to put a waypoint right there for parking. Right here. There we go. So now we have looks like what's a solid way to get into where we want to go. You can keep going on this too. It looks like this road. But this looks like the most direct route to get into where we want to hunt. All right, so we've got a zone in mind. We have what looks like solid access into it, but not too easy to where I think that a bunch of people are going to be in this area, okay? So next, we need to find out how to find these things. All right, so the way that the hands down, like the best way that I found to locate Coues deer is by glassing. All right, so getting up high on a vantage point, sitting down, putting your binoculars on a tripod and scanning the country around you and just looking for deer, rutting, bedding, feeding, whatever, just looking for deer. They're very hard to spot. They are called the gray ghost for a reason, okay? So you will be humbled behind the glass hunting Coues deer. So what I like to do, so a good rule of thumb, all right, is you want to put the sun at your back in the morning and glass into the sun in the evening. What that's going to do is it's going to put sunlit hillsides in front of you first thing in the morning, which is often where deer are going to be feeding out in the sun, warming up after a cold night. And then in the evening, when you're glassing into the sun, that means you're going to be glassing into the shade, which is where deer are going to be coming out after bedding. So with that in mind, you can roll through this area and mark, oh, I'm going to get up on this point out here. I'll be looking at a south-facing hill. That's great. But what I'm really looking for is, especially in country I've never been before, I want to make sure that I can do what I call working the country. Okay, so I like long ridges that I can work down and glass off each side as I'm going throughout the day, okay, until I locate deer. All right, this isn't a situation like you've never been here before, right? So it's not a situation where it's like, oh, this is my spot. I'm going to sit right here all day. You don't know what your spot is yet, so you need to find it. The reason, now I'm going to get real specific here, and you'll understand why in a second. My favorite setup, okay, are ridges that run north and south-ish, okay, and I like glassing. My favorite way to glass off of those is to the west, and this is why, all right? So if you're on a north-south ridge and you're glassing to the west in the morning, it means that you're glassing an east face, which means the sun comes up in the east. Okay, so you're going to be glassing a sunlit hillside. The ridge across from you, what's crucial for me is that ridge across from you to the west needs to have fingers coming down it, right? And each one of those fingers, all right, is going to have two sides on it, a north side and a south side. The north side is going to be thicker usually, and the south side is going to be more open. So what you got going on here is you can literally watch deer go back and forth from feeding to bedding. in areas like that. That's my favorite glassing setup. So I'm going to look on the map here and kind of look for these long ridges, these north-south-ish. They don't have to be perfectly north and south, but north-south-ish looking ridges that offer that type of situation.
All right, so let's go from our access point here. We're going to park here. And upon further investigation, this road is like pretty good. So you could even keep taking this. I could even keep taking this road way up and push into country even further. But for the sake of time, let's dive into this. So looking at the topo lines, it looks like there's a good ridge right here. Okay, north-south running ridge. It's got drainages on each side of it, and it's not too far. Let's see how far it is from the parking spot. So to get to that ridge, it's only 1.2 miles. So that's another thing I like to do is I'll use the line distance tool to measure distances from where I'm parking to where I'm thinking about getting to hunt. Kind of gives me an idea of how much time I'm going to have to invest into a hike. 1.2 miles, I'm not too worried about that at all. So I'm just going to save that so I know that that's there. Gives you all the info right here on that hike right there. So 1.2 miles, you're only doing 726 feet elevation, 607 feet elevation loss. That's I'm not too worried about that at all. So gonna get to this ridge here. Let's zoom in a little bit, and I'm gonna show you what I'm talking about. So this looks like a ridge where I can get to and just kind of work along this thing north and just keep going around and keep glassing to the west. All right, this is what I was talking about with the bedding area thing. Check this out. See this ridge here, this finger coming down off this ridge? This is the south side, this is the north side. South side's open, north side's is thicker. Okay, and you can see that throughout this whole spot right here. This side's more open, this side's thicker. Okay, let's keep going. Look, here's fingers coming down right here across. So let me mark a waypoint right here so we don't get lost. I'm gonna mark a waypoint right here. We're gonna name that glassing, save. Okay, and right across there are fingers coming down off of this ridge. See these fingers right here? Now look at these fingers. South side open, north side it's got thicker stuff. Let's go to the next one. South side open, north side got thicker stuff. South side open, north side you got thicker stuff. See what I'm saying? Like that's like that continues all the way up there. There's a spring right here too, and some real thick stuff right there. So that's another thing I like. So real quick, I'm gonna just make a few notations here on possible feeding bedding areas. So mark a waypoint. Let's see. I'm gonna find feeding. Okay, so let's drag that right here in this open area. Save, and we'll do another one. Bedding right here. Okay, and I could do this. You could do that to every one of these ridges, but the point is so far this is looking like it's got everything that I want in order to find deer. Okay, got this good ridge right here to glass from. So if I keep going, so right from here, right across, I should be able to see this stuff right here, but I won't really be able to see over here much. So if I work down the ridge, I'm going to drop another pin right in here. Glassing spot, save. Do a little line distance action to see how far that is from here to here. That's only 674 yards, so not worried about that. You could probably stop throughout that as well, and there's a lot of stuff down in here that you'll get different angles at. So I'll hit save there. Okay. So far this is looking like a pretty sweet looking spot. All right, so to really get, we got a couple glassing spots marked here to really get a good idea of what our view is going to be like. I'm going to turn 3D mode on, okay, and I'm going to zoom in a bit here to this glassing spot. I'm going to rotate. Look at that. That looks incredible. Look at all this stuff. This is beautiful looking country. Offers good cover, good topography for stalking with a bow. Like if you, if like say there was a, there was some rutting deer right here, you could like head down here, come up through this draw, come over here, come around, boom, get right into them. Obviously depending on the wind, but yeah, freaking awesome, man. Really cool looking area. Keep going down this ridge. Look at the country look at this country here. This is incredible looking country. There's a spring, there's quite a few springs over in here. So that'd be good to look at too. Just a lot of places to explore. I would even honestly consider backpacking in a spot like this. It's not a huge area. It's obviously it's way bigger than it looks on the screen right now, I promise you. But I mean, you could hike in from here, jump on this ridge, and I marked a little camp spot right there. There's a tank right here that if you zoom in, you can see it has water in it right there. If you really wanted to do that, there's another way to get in here. This road here, up through here, it's like a main road. Right from this road here. So I'm gonna actually so I have it, I'm gonna mark an access point right here as well. This is what you do, guys, man. You just explore, you'd be surprised. You look at a map a lot and some stuff you just miss. I'm literally doing this as we're talking here. So we're gonna follow this road down. That looks good. And it looks like a good, let's zoom in on it. It looks like a decent road, judging by the satellite imagery. So take this on down and could end it right here. Yep. I'm gonna drop another waypoint right here. Parking spot. Right here. Boom. And you could hike down this little 2-track here. I don't know how good of a, yeah, it looks pretty beat up. So I hike these 2-tracks all the time getting into spots, and I'll use them to navigate a little bit, but you could hike this 2-track on down and get right up into this country here. I marked a waypoint right here because it looks killer. You could just work this ridge system all along here and be into all sorts of good country. So really cool looking spot. The last thing that I'll do in these areas, and this changes, but it'll kind of give you a good idea of what's going on, is I want to check the wind direction and kind of see what the predominant wind direction is, especially when I get closer to the hunt. So I'm going to click on this waypoint right here. I'm going to click wind direction, and we're going to do show current wind, apply. Okay, so the wind right now is coming out of the south, which is great. So that's awesome to know. I mean, the wind obviously changes, you know, but especially when you're getting closer to the hunt, checking things like this, so to kind of give you a good idea of like what the predominant wind is going to be in the area. So this right here is cool because I can come in this way. My wind's going to be blowing up to the north, not this way, not to the west. So by getting right here, I should be good glassing these deer and not get winded.
All right, guys, that's going to do it. E-scouting for Coues deer during the rut here in January for bow season. This may not be super detailed to some of you, but this is my process, okay? And it's proven. All the things that I've outlined, it gets me into deer year after year after year, okay? So take that for what it's worth. The stuff works, all right? And the good thing about having an app with you right on your phone is this map is just going to keep building, right? You're just going to keep building your map, adding more pins. You go into a spot and be like, oh man, actually this is the best glassing spot right here. Add that pin right on your phone, man, and you're going to keep building your knowledge base of the entire area. So you can expect an article on this that'll be on the Onyx blog. So keep your eyes out for that. But if you like the channel, please hit subscribe. If you like the video, please hit thumbs up. Coues deer season is right around the corner. Stay safe out there.